Hello and welcome to this week's IG Live. Today I'm excited to be talking to Lisa M. Randolph, and she is the author of this amazing book. It's the first book in a series. It's the Wildlife Divas Adventure Team, and it's a global educational children's book about saving the endangered mountain gorilla. And so we're going to talk all about that and her journey to becoming an author. Hello. And as you know, we come here usually at this time on Thursdays, although watch those announcements. Able to watch the whole thing, we'll have it up on Instagram and later on our YouTube channel. Hello.
Hi there.
How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk with you. I was just showing off your book. I just got my copy from the library, so I've only just started reading it, but everything I've read, I've just loved it so far. It's so engaging. And so I thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
You're quite welcome.
Well, why don't we go ahead and jump in and you can share with us, what was your journey to becoming an author?
So my journey to becoming an author, it started quite a few years ago. I was working in San Francisco with a group of girls in one of the toughest neighborhoods in San Francisco. And when the organization closed its doors, we ran out of funding and our doors had to close. I decided to write a book about the girls I work with. Normally, these children are seen as, troublesome and, problematic. But I saw such brightness and intelligence in these children, and I had to write a book about them. And so that's how I formed the characters in the book. So my characters are actually based off of these girls that I worked with. I had one that was like a math whiz. And when I saw how wonderful she was in math, I created a character that was a math whiz. And so basically that's where my characters come from. They are fashioned after these girls I worked with. And I started writing a story about it. And there was an incident. We used to go camping every summer. And there was an incident where we were trying to catch a seagull wrapped in fishing line. And that is where the whole premise for saving animals with a group of girls, that's where the entire idea came from, is this one incident trying to save an animal.
I love that. So let's talk about your book. I said this is the first in the series, the Wildlife Divas Adventure Team, about, like you mentioned, a group of bright, talented girls who travel the world to save critically endangered animals. And tell us about the writing of the book, because you said you have a really amazing story that you actually took a trip to Uganda.
I did.
Trekked into the rainforest and got to see the mountain gorillas in their natural habitat. So tell us about that and how this turned into your
that
book.
all happened.
Yeah.
It actually started on Instagram. It was an Instagram post I saw that mentioned the Buwindi Impenetrable Forest, which is where the story takes place. And that's where the actual gorillas that are endangered, that is one of the countries they live in one of the forests. And it was conversing back and forth with someone. And I said, look, I've never seen anyone mention this forest before. I'm writing a story about this. And then one thing led to another, and we were talking about the book and the national forest. And he says, you can't write a book about mountain gorillas in Uganda if you've never been here. And so I took a trip to Uganda. The book was not finished yet. It was still a manuscript at that point. And I got to go trekking. Yes.
I mean, a few of the pictures in it. Sorry, go ahead.
So I got to go trekking into the rainforest to see the mountain gorillas. And I mean, literally an impenetrable forest. They had to chop down, they had our guides in front of us and they were chopping down our way through the forest. I mean, literally a forest. And when we got to the group of gorillas, so they're like a family, it's a group of them. And I got to sit there and watch mountain gorillas in their natural habitat. I have one video, maybe I'll post it later, where one of the first rules of mountain, gorilla trekking is don't run. And the gorilla just came up by me and I was trying to hide behind this guy. So I kind of ran. I broke the rule and I ran and hid behind this guy and I was like, okay. So that was, it was the most exhilarating and most frightening thing. There were no cages, there were no barriers, there's nothing to protect you. You know, if one comes towards you, then you have to do one of the three things they tell you to do, you know, which is like crouch down and cover yourself and don't look them in the eye and that sort of thing. So it was terrifying and exhilarating at the same time.
And how do you think it affected your writing or the book?
Well, I think it made my writing a little more realistic. So I was able to actually bring the fear factor into it. I could actually bring the smells, the sights, everything. I could just write it into the storyline, and it was life changing. It was, and I don't know many people that can say they've been in a mountain in a forest with live gorillas. So.
No, I don't think I've ever met anybody who's done that before.
It was interesting.
Well, I love it,
and that was just one of many things.
Well, I was just gonna say, like you said, you know, I mean, I love that you actually went there, and I'm sure it does make the book so much more realistic, and so like you feel like you're really there. Another thing I love about your book is the characters, the girls, and now that I know that they're based on actual people, it makes sense because, like I said, I've just started it, but even just the very first scene where the girls are first meeting each other, you just get such a quick sense of who these girls are. Their characters come through so vividly, and the dialogue between them and the interactions. But what I love is that you have these girls, that your book puts girls, especially girls of color, into the role of being the heroines of this story. Why is that so important?
Well, I think that was so important for me to bring to the forefront because most times these girls are not empowered to save anything. And so I wanted to put them in a position of power where they could actually be the ones who make change happen and the ones who actually save the animals. And I wanted to be their responsibility and have them feel that sense of responsibility. And I just wanted them to be strong and brave and knowing that they could accomplish anything they put their minds to. And that sort of brings me to a story about myself as a child, where I was discouraged by a teacher and it made me afraid to speak up, speak out. I lived like a mile from a zoo. I could ride my bike to the zoo, but I was so intimidated and so afraid to say anything to the zookeepers. My life took a different path because I think I would have been a wonderful zoologist, you know. So I want girls to know that, you know, I don't want anyone to step in and discourage them from being as strong and as brave as they can be. I just want them to thrive, and that's another reason why I wrote this book.
Especially
my own experience.
But like you were saying about the girls that you worked with, the girls in this book are ones that they don't come from privileged background. These are girls that are often written off as, you know, they're not going to go off and do anything important. And especially you're very passionate about STEAM education, and especially for girls. What do you hope, I mean, you kind of mentioned this already, but in regards especially to the STEAM education, what do you hope that readers take away from your book?
Well, I hope they take away from the book the sense that this is not something that's completely foreign. You know, once they start reading about it, they see that it's reachable, it's doable, and that they too can follow careers in science, technology, engineering, arts, and that they all play a part together, and they can achieve. So I always say this, you know, you can be a teacher, you can be a doctor, you can be an attorney, you can be a nurse, and those are all wonderful professions. There's absolutely nothing wrong with those professions, but there's also another world available to you under science, under technology. That's why I have them flying drones in the rainforest using science and technology. And I actually met a young lady. I was at the American Library Association's national event in Chicago last year. And I met this young lady who worked for NASA. And believe it or not, she looked exactly like this character right here. And I said to her, I said, oh my God, you are the epitome of my character. And I showed her the book. She's like, oh my God, that's me. She says, I wish I had a book like this when I was a girl. And it turned out that she is a video producer for NASA. So that is, you know, the arts and science mixed together. So I just want girls to see that these alternative careers are available to them, things that they don't know are available. And if you bring it to their attention, maybe this is a line that they want to pursue. Like the youngest character in the book, Storm, the 9-year-old, the math whiz, is also a bug lover. And that is a science that can be pursued as a career. So that's why I try and make a path or show a link to, you know, what STEAM can do for them.
I love that. And I think, you know, another thing your series does is it gets readers really excited about endangered animals, helping endangered animals. But I think something that I hear a lot from young people is that they are interested in conservation. They're all very concerned about climate change, but they also feel very discouraged because they see how terrible the situation is. And I think they have that feeling like, you know, what can I do, or what does it matter? What message do you have for them?
My message is that one person can make all the change in the world. It only takes one person, and you might be that one person. So don't discount yourself. You know, pick up that torch and run with it, because you never know. Like writing this book, if you told me 4 years ago that this would have happened with my book, I would have never believed that I could have been an instrument of change, of education, of insight, of growth for children. I never thought that could have happened, but here I am on your show
Right.
talking about my book right now. So it makes a difference. One person can make a difference, and you can be that one person. So don't give up.
That is I love that. That's so empowering. And something else I love that you have done is that your book has had an impact, like you talked about the difference one person can make. Your book has had an impact not just here in the US, but also in Uganda, where you went to do the research, where the book is set. Could you tell us a little bit about how has the book been received there, and its message? How have they been received in Uganda?
It's been tremendous, unbelievable. It's surreal. I actually got to meet the U.S. ambassador to Uganda, who actually introduced my book to the public on national television in Uganda. So
Amazing.
the Ugandan Wildlife Authority, the Ugandan Tourism Board, the Ugandan Wildlife Education Center, the Board of Education are all on board with this book. So the book was so well received in Uganda. Not only that, but I was able to go on tour around the country, and I also was on television shows. Like they have the equivalent to Good Morning America.
Right.
They have Good Morning Uganda. So I made an appearance on Good Morning Uganda. So millions of people got to see this book and the impact that it has on girls, on conservation, on bringing attention to their country, and wildlife conservation efforts made for mountain gorillas and other animals as well. But you know, the book focuses mainly on mountain gorillas, because when I started writing the book, they were the most endangered species on the planet, with only like 800 left on the entire world. So now it's up to 1,063 animals, you know, gorillas. And I hope, you know, my book bringing attention to the plight of mountain gorillas will only help conservation efforts around it. And I've gotten to meet a lot of.
What do you think it was about your book that really resonated so much with them?
I think one of the main things was science, technology, engineering, arts, and math being the basis for the book. Again, the importance of STEAM for girls is, this is the future. It's estimated that for the next 10 years, this will be the strongest growth in careers and education is STEAM and STEM. And so, and that's everywhere. That's not just here in the United States, but it's in Africa. It's in every country that I'm going to travel to in the book. The importance of STEAM, this is the future. Technology is the future. So if you don't get on board now, you're going to be left behind.
Right.
And so that is the biggest push behind my promoting STEM and STEAM.
For those that don't know, I think most people watching probably know, but for those that don't, could you tell us what does STEAM stand for?
So STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
Right.
And and a lot of these kind of overlapped each other. And so it's really important for girls to know, especially girls of color, to know that these educational, future education and careers are going to be based in this. If you don't do this, you're going to be left behind. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They project that there are like 10 million new jobs that'll be created in technology alone. So it's so important that we get on board.
And I think something that I love about your book too is, excuse me, when it encourages girls to get into these fields, but I think as an adult reading it, I also makes me realize that we need them to get into this field. It's not just good for them. It's really, we need them. We need that creativity.
Well, the planet.
But we need that experience and that background for the planet. We desperately need them to get into and to bring these different perspectives and talents to the field. So I love that you're focusing on this. And you did mention about other books in your series. Are you able to give us any previews? I don't want you to give any spoilers that you don't want to, but can you tell us a little bit about what the rest of the series is going to look like?
Okay, so my plan is that they travel to the 7 continents of the world, saving critically endangered species on each continent. And so at the very end of the book, you'll find out that they're on their way to Australia. So that's the book I'm working on right now, is Australia. So that should be out by spring next year, 2025. The second book should be done. And then the third book should be completed by the end of the year, which takes them to India. So they'll be crisscrossing the world, and they'll be on the Asian continent. They'll be in Australia, and then I don't know where they're going after that.
Well, does that mean, I was just going to say, does that mean that you are also going to these places?
I am. So I've already been to South America. So that'll be like maybe the 4th book.
Amazing.
And I need to get to Australia, and I need to get to India, to Asia. And then the last one will be Antarctica, which I would like to go. So I want to travel to every continent along with these girls. So I'm working on number 5 right now. So
that's amazing. That's so great. And that you're bringing attention to all of these, like you said, the endangered mountain gorilla, but also all the different ones that you'll be bringing attention to. That is amazing. And thank you for coming on and sharing this. We talked about this a little bit before. Do you have your gorilla that you want to show us?
I do have.
We were trying to get him in the shot when we were getting ready before, but I have to, because you said when you wrote, you had a gorilla in the room with you. I love it.
He was always keeping me company. He's even been on dates with me. So
he seems like he's giving you. He seems like he's giving you a look like, get back to writing, focus. He seems very serious.
So now I need kangaroos and koalas now. So.
I love it. I talk about inspiration, motivation.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. It was such a pleasure. And again, for those who haven't gotten it, I highly recommend it. Wildlife Divas Adventure Team, and I can't wait to see the other books in the series as well.
Just one more thing. I'll be at in Roseville. I'll be at the Barnes & Noble on this Sunday at 2 p.m. I'll be doing a book signing at Barnes & Noble. And if anyone wants to get the book, they can get it from my website, lisamrandolph.com. It's on sale right now. So yeah, it's there.
Yes,
the ebook.
And anybody, we'll have the link to Lisa's Instagram page from ours, and the link to the books, to your website when we post it on YouTube, so you can do that and look for these events. I love it. Roseville, California, right down the street from me, which is amazing. I usually don't get to talk to people. Yes.
So cool.
So be sure to look out for that. And I know you said you're going to be having other events coming up in November. So keep an eye out for those, everybody. Yes. Got a comment here. Can't wait for book 2. Same.
Thank you.
I love that it's coming out so soon, so we don't have too long to wait. So thank you, everybody. As always, this will be up in a few minutes on Instagram, and later we will have it on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Leanna. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.